Good morning. Good morning. I hope everyone is having a spectacular Saturday. Wherever you're watching, I want you to please share the broadcast because our conversation today, inevitably, you will know someone or they will know someone that can relate to this information or needs this information for whatever reason. So today, this is the first and actually the last, kind of, I'll explain. But I am Dr. Renee, your favorite allergy and asthma expert. And many of you know me from the Ask Dr. Renee show, blackdoctor.org. What else? Patient journeys in the doctor's waiting rooms, Keep It 100 in the doctor's waiting rooms, different publications online and print. But I'm so excited and honored that the Chicago Asthma Consortium asked me to host Ask the Asthma Doc today. Now, as you know, I'm not an allergist. I just am I'll tell you that later in case you don't know, but I am your favorite allergy and asthma expert. So I'm really excited to host this today. This is the last of the season, as in the year for 2023, 2024. We take the summer off and then they'll be back in the fall. But I'm really excited because today's topic is really good and really makes a whole lot of sense for when this is falling. So Sunday, May 12th, 2024 was Mother's Day, but it was also the first day of Food Allergy Awareness Week. And if you did not know, May is Allergy and Asthma Awareness Month. So that is extremely important. And like I said, if you follow me anywhere at Ask Dr. Renee, then you know how important this is to me. I have been giving you tips daily about asthma since May started, and I'm really excited to share that information. I've been getting great feedback. So that's always a great thing. I want to let you know that the Chicago Asthma Consortium asked me to host Ask the Asthma Doc this month. And this is their support group, but we don't want to call it that. It's called Ask the Asthma Doc. So we're going to talk about food allergies and asthma today. And in case you didn't know, there is a correlation, and we'll talk about that too. I'm going to share a story and hopefully some tidbits, resources that may be helpful. And if you have questions, you can always ask them in the chat, and I will answer them as best I can while we're live. And if I can't answer them live, then I will try to follow up and type in responses later. But I need you to make sure you share this broadcast, and sharing is caring. And actually, I'm going to do the exact same thing right now myself. Make sure that everyone can see this. We are on several platforms today. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. So let's make certain that we are sharing. I just want to make certain. Okay. And one second. Okay. So I've done my due diligence to share. So hopefully you will do the same. So I wanted to let you know, and this is something that I think a lot of people don't know. According to a 2022 study, children with food allergies are 2 to 8 times more likely to have asthma than children without food allergies. The study found that 6.4% of children have food allergies, 12.7% have skin allergies, and 14.7% have respiratory allergies. So children with all three allergies are 8 times more likely to have asthma than children without allergies. So that goes to show you. And also, if you think about it, children with allergies grow up to be what? Adults with allergies, right? So it all goes hand in hand. So please pay attention, because I know you know someone. I know you know somebody. You just haven't thought of that person, but you know somebody. So make sure you share, and you might learn some things here. So the purpose of this broadcast today is to share personal insights and tips on managing food allergies and asthma. So the first thing you need to understand is food allergies and asthma. And so we define food allergies as an immune system reaction that occurs soon after after eating certain foods. So it's actually anaphylaxis is actually a heightened reaction with your immune system. So it's too much happening at the same time, and that's what causes the swelling, narrowing of all the different things. So you might have hives, you might have narrowing of the airways, and all sorts of things go off at the exact same time. Many people with asthma, of course, like I said, have food allergies and manage both of them. And very well, some of us do, I must say. So I am going to, one second here. Before I do that, I'm going to bring on a guest, and I'm really excited to have this person with me. Also, when you're watching, please make sure you let me know where you're watching from so I can see where people are at. And if you have food allergies and or asthma, let us know. So I'm going to bring on a special guest. Good morning.
Good morning.
So my special guest today is none other than, in case you noticed the last name, although I never have mine up, but it's my mom. So my mother, needless to say, has been on my asthma and allergy journey 47 long years, going on 48. And so I thought, who not best to talk about this than her? So first I was going to show you guys a few little things here. Uh-oh, I forgot because we have my lovely overlay. 1 second here. So this is me at a birthday party, and we'll talk about that too, but at a birthday party, no doubt, where there's ice cream and cake and all sorts of goodies. And this was me, obviously more towards before I turned 1. So just cute little pictures. Okay, so so we're going to share my story. So Mom, I was born, and you can pick up there.
Renee was about less than 6 months old when she had her first asthma attack. And so I called her pediatrician, and he didn't believe that she had asthma. So he said, put the phone up to her mouth. And he says, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. She does have asthma. I'm a registered respiratory therapist, so I think I knew about asthma. In any case, that began our journey of running back and forth to the hospital with Renee because she had another asthma attack. Renee had these asthma attacks in nursery school, and so we prepared a poster. I shouldn't say we. The teacher prepared a poster with information for all of the teachers to explain what Renee was allergic to and what she could eat. And I guess that's it right there.
And actually, if you have my book, there's a picture of this in the book. But yeah, so how did you come across, how did you figure out, besides asthma, how did you figure out I had food allergies?
Because we saw a allergist, pediatric allergist, and they did injections, I guess not injection, but an allergy test to determine what you were allergic to. And the thing was, the first test was the RASP test, and you could only test for a small quantity of allergens. And then later, as you got older, we were able to do the skin test where she could do several different extracts to determine what you were allergic to. And that was all of that was very helpful and actually decreased the number of asthma attacks.
Yeah.
But
So now, the main thing is really to know what you're allergic to. So that's why it's so important to go to an actual allergy and immunology physician known as an allergist, so that they can do this testing. And I know in the year of 2024, there's all sorts of things that are coming through your Facebook feed about, oh, you can buy this test and do it at home. And oh, you can do that. Please find an allergist and go to an actual allergist. Don't do these at home tests. And if you have to talk to your primary care doctor, talk to them, explain to them, when Johnny does this or when I eat this, this is what happens, so that they can say, oh, you might be allergic. And then they can write the referral if necessary, so that, insurance, if you have insurance, will cover it. But make sure you see an allergist. Sorry, go ahead.
So in any case, the other important fact on having the test in a doctor's office, in an allergist office, is if you are allergic to whatever extract that you're given, you can have symptoms of the asthma attack. So you would want someone to be there to help you get through that asthma attack.
Yeah, so I had that test obviously when I was much younger, because we created this lovely board here. But I remember the second time I had it when I was 10, and it was misery, because everything that she put, I was allergic to. And so you can't move, you can't touch it, you can't scratch it, because they have to, read the results and stuff. So I was just in misery because I was itching like crazy. Everything was swelling up. Thankfully, I wasn't having any breathing problems. I was okay that way, but I was itching like a crazy woman and was like, please, we got to stop this quickly. And so that was, and I think after that test, she said I couldn't eat. It was something that I ate. And I was like, she's like, well, just don't overdo it. I think it was peaches. And I was like, okay, peaches and corn maybe. And I was like, okay. And so that was fine. But everything else, like I said, it stayed the same. So they tested my arms and my back. So I think my arms had the environmental stuff. So the grass, the ragweed, mold, all of that stuff, pollen. And then my back had the food. Oh, and then, animals was somewhere in there too, dogs and cats and stuff. But so that's the last time I had it, was when I was 10. When I first became an adult and had my own doctor, I did have an allergy test that was a blood test, which I just don't think they're as accurate. And I think the skin test is better. But we did a blood test, and because I refused to do that skin test ever again in life. And so I said, well, we did the blood test, and I was like, it doesn't matter. I've had enough close calls that I'm good with what I can eat. And I will tell you, this has improved, because on here in this a little is saltines, Ritz, and grams, and Lord knows I probably eat too much of those. What else is on here that I don't eat, that I eat now? So I can drink milk. I actually drink skim milk. When I used to drink cow's milk, now I drink oat milk. I can have cheese. I can have eggs baked in things, whereas I couldn't before. I can have bread. I eat white bread. If I eat bread, I eat white bread. I eat cookies. I eat macaroni noodles. I still no seafood. All of this meat I can eat: chili, spaghetti, chop suey, chicken, pork, vegetables. I will not eat raw vegetables. And it's probably because I couldn't for so long that I'm just not accustomed to it. So the only one I eat is cucumbers. So no, I don't eat salad. Citrus, I don't do oranges, but actually, let me see this list. This list is probably right as far as, yes, I don't eat apricots. I just don't think I ever ate them much. Definitely no oranges, no orange juice. I've never tried tomato juice, so I don't know if I could drink that. And then I don't do chocolate or nuts. So, and like I said, that's my list and I'm sticking to it, and that's fine. I've had enough close calls where I was like, clearly something is still going on. Like the time I bought eggs, and the eggs, one of the eggs had cracked and I didn't realize it. And the egg whites got on my skin, actually got on my shirt, which got on my skin. And I started having an itching sensation. Then I started wheezing and I was like, what is going on? And then I figured out it was the egg whites. And so, and then I also, one day in my dorm, I was eating breakfast and I had a muffin. And because of my allergies, I dissect food if I don't know. And so I had a really small crumb because it said banana muffins. It did not say anything else. So I, to this day, don't know if it was chocolate or nuts, but it was something else in that muffin, because as soon as I ate that crumb, I immediately knew that I was going to be in trouble and needed to go back to my room and start taking care of myself. So, oh, I meant to bring my trainer down here. Well, but I personally carry Avacue. There's EpiPen, there's Avacue. They're both auto epinephrine auto injectors. And Patrick, I see your question. Give me a sec. And they're both epinephrine auto injectors. They Avacue, it just, I think that I like the shape of it because it's just a little more, concise. I don't know. It's not, the EpiPen is long and circular, and whereas the Avacue is flat. And I don't know. It's just easier to me, but that's what I carry. And you need to carry what your insurance will cover is what probably makes sense for you. Patrick wants to know, are there any foods to avoid with eczema? So Mom, you can talk about eczema too, because I had that as well.
Yes, there are foods that you have to avoid if you're allergic. The allergies can manifest themselves with breathing difficulties, as well as skin allergies, skin eruptions.
Reactions. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so any of the foods can show eczema. And that ran in my family. My brother had a terrible case of eczema.
Yes. So you want to make certain, that's what I'm saying. It's really important to go to the allergist, because you want to make certain that you find out what you're allergic to, because that way you know what to avoid, because it is so important to avoid your allergens, because just because you don't have a very violent reaction to an allergen the first time or the second time you're exposed to it, that does not mean that you may not have a really bad reaction to it later on down the line. So it's really important to know exactly what you're allergic to so that you can avoid those. And then, of course, in the year of 2024, we have oral immunotherapy, where they've been giving people, for example, peanuts. They'll give them a little bit of peanuts, and it's monitored with the doctor. The doctor tells mom or dad, this is how many peanuts to eat a day or stuff. And they, try to get them exposed. And so then they eventually, hopefully, will be able to have a handful of peanuts or something like that. And then there's also, there's oral immunotherapy. And then now, if you watch my videos, Xolair is not a treatment, not a cure for allergies, but what it will do is it will kind of lessen the reaction. So if you take Xolair and then you go somewhere and you're eating out and you don't know if something's been cross-contaminated with one of your allergens, then Xolair really could be a lifesaver for you, because it will, like I said, lessen the reaction. So it won't be so violent that, you only have minutes. Maybe now instead of seconds, you've got 10, 15 minutes to get to some help. So that's why we're excited about Xolair, because cross-contamination is something that is most recently as the 2008 inauguration for President Obama. I had a cross-contamination reaction at the chef's ball, and thankfully I was able to survive it clearly. But yeah, it was totally cross-contamination, because what I ate, I knew that I could eat. It was fried chicken and mashed potatoes. And if you know me, that was like my staple for a very long time. So that's why it's very important that you do know exactly what your allergies are. Okay, so you said unfortunately the allergy test didn't show anything for your daughter who's 13 now. I'm curious when she had the allergy test and if she still has the eczema. It could be the fabric softener, it could be the detergent, it could be the material of the clothing. What else, Mom?
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, it could be the shampoo in the hair. It could be the animals in the house if you have pets. So I will tell you, my eczema used to show up specifically in the winter time, and then one winter it went away, and it just never came back.
Oh yeah, the cold air can
Cold air, yeah.
induce. Hmm.
Yeah. So all these things could be possible things that could cause eczema. So definitely try and check that out. There are, you just have to read labels. These detergents have all sorts of things in them, and if there's certain places you can, there's places online you can purchase detergent that is hypoallergenic and stuff like that, and doesn't have all the chemicals in it and stuff. Because honestly, a lot of that is the reason. It could be the deodorant. It could be any number of things you put on your skin. You just have to be really, really careful. And also, I would,
Perfumes.
yeah, perfumes, body sprays, all that stuff. I would honestly try also going to a dermatologist who specializes obviously in skin and see if they, see what they say. Um, since you have had an allergy test done, I would try the dermatologist next to see what their input is. So yeah, so we talked about, so the common food allergies, in case you didn't know, are peanuts, tree nuts, milk, eggs, wheat, soy, fish, and shellfish. So I had a rough go the first 10 years of my life because, like I said, I was allergic to milk. So I did not drink cow's milk. I drank soy milk. So I used to wheeze all the time. And so I just had a baseline wheeze, and that was my functional wheeze. I could function with it. I could go to school and work, not work, go to school and, all my activities and stuff with that wheeze. When it got awful, usually at night, and was out of control, then we went to the ER. Well, one day we went to the doctor and she said that she found out that soy was a part of the nut family. And this was around the time that I turned 10. And my mother said, "Oh," and so we immediately stopped the soy milk, which devastated me because it tastes so good. And we switched. We tried some things. We tried Cremora. We tried non-fat dry milk. We ended up sticking with non-fat dry milk, which had no taste. Um,
And the Cremora uh, made her weight increase tremendously. I realized that it was full of calories.
so I was a latchkey kid, and you tell your children they can't cook while parents aren't at home. So my sister and I would come home from school and we would have bowls of cereal. And my other thing was when I went to my grandmother's house, when she would have food that I was allergic to, she would always say, "Renee, fix yourself a bowl of cornflakes." So, needless to say, that was the thing. I always ate cereal, like always ate cereal. So, I had a lot of Cremora and most people had Cremora at their house too. So, then I could have milk because, I couldn't drink cow's milk. So, yes, I blew up like a house, but non-fat dry milk is what I ended up sticking to for a long time. And the soy, once we stopped that, I stopped wheezing daily. So clearly my doctor was on to something because it was like a switch turned off. And once it was out of my system, like I said, it's really, you got to pay attention to those allergens. Once I knew that, I was good. So I've never had edamame because I know that's part of the soy family. I've never had tofu because I know it's part of the soy family. Um, I tell people all the time, you have to read labels and you have to understand labels. So if you understand labels, you know that the first ingredient on the label is what is most prominent in the food. And then the last one is what is least amount in the food. So I eat some of the frozen vegetarian or vegan burgers, but the soy is so far from being the first that it does not bother me. And so I'm very grateful for that. There's only a few brands where that happens. There are some brands where the soy is like the first or second ingredient, and so I can't have those. But I am able to eat, and I'll tell you, Morningstar Farms, I'm able to eat those. I eat a lot of their products because they don't cause me any problems. In college, my mother told me I could drink skim milk, and she said you should be fine, and she was right. And I loved it because it had a taste compared to that non-fat dry milk. I used to put sugar in that non-fat dry milk, which was probably not good for me either. But I had to do something. It was awful. but skim milk. So then I drank skim milk, and I overdid it, of course, but I used to drink 2 gallons a week. But yeah, so I drank skim milk, and that was my thing up until about 2016 when I started drinking oat milk, and I love oat milk. Oh, I'm so excited. Sora Helen Redding is on. She's a member of our lovely board, Chicago Asthma Consortium, and she is also one of our SOARs. And so thank you, Sora Helen, for joining us this morning. So let's see, where are we in my lovely list here? So I had to ask my mom because I thought it was because it's a long list of foods that I couldn't eat, but I thought it was really interesting that I've always known this. And I was like, well, how does a child know? And because I was with a lot of adults that did not necessarily know the list, but I always knew. And I said, well, how did I know? So this is my book I wrote, No, Renee, You Are Allergic. And it's because I would ask my mom, if you read the book, you'll see, I'd ask my mom, can I eat this? And she'd say, no, Renee, you're allergic. And somehow in my little brain, I was able to categorize and put all that information in there. And I was able to go about, I danced as a child. I was able to go on the dance trips without my parents. And I was able to go with my grandmother in the church on trips. I went with other family members. I did a lot of things, not necessarily with my parents. And I was okay because I knew exactly what to do if I had an asthma attack, but I knew what to avoid as far as my allergens to make certain that I didn't get sick. And I knew what questions to ask about food. My other thing that I've lived by is that if I don't feel like asking a whole bunch of questions of the waiter or the chef or whatever, I just won't eat. And it's okay with me. I'll eat after. I'll eat enough before, but if I don't feel like going through the list and saying, and having the waitress run back and forth to the kitchen and finding out, then I just won't eat, and it's okay. And I'm not. I mean, my sister's the foodie. I'm not necessarily foodie, obviously, because of these food allergies, but I'm okay. I'm like, if I don't feel like it, because sometimes it's just like I don't feel like taking people through all of that because it's such a long list, and I don't want you to have to find out what ingredient is in everything, which is another reason why I eat things very plain and simple. Because if you keep it simple and plain, then you know exactly what's in it. If you have chicken and the chicken is cooked, seasonings are all that's put on it, that's simple. But then when you have chicken, blah, 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 that's when it's like, wait a minute, what's that? What's in that? Or if you know that the food is going to be, I'm going to an event tonight. If the chicken is going to be served and it has some sort of sauce or gravy, it's just safer for me not to have the sauce or gravy rather than have to have them run through the entire recipe for me, because I need to make certain there's not something in there that I am allergic to. So it's a way of life. And like I said, it's worked for 47 years. I say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm fine with it. It works for me. And this is the great way that I manage. I always do carry some sort of auto epinephrine auto injector with me. Not necessarily do the people around me know how to use it, but they do know I have food allergies, so they are aware that I do carry. So that's always very, very important. Emergency preparedness, that's what that's about. That is so important. So I think the EpiPen probably came out around when I turned 10, maybe. And my mom was a respiratory therapist, so she, of course, was, they come out with this, and so she got it, and we had them forever. And then I went off to med school and got curious on how it worked and stabbed myself in the hand. But I had never used it. So I just wondered how it worked and stabbed myself in the palm. I will never forget that. That was the worst pain. That needle was huge and it hurt in my palm.
Renee, there was one more important thing that occurred in nursery school.
Oh, yes.
Because of your asthma, you took daily medications, and one of uh, one of those medicines you had to take during the time period that you were in nursery school. And for some reason, they forgot to administer it to you at the appropriate time. And so they gave it to you late in the day. Well, when you returned home from nursery school and around dinner time, it was time to give you your medicine. And so we did. And you began 3 years old running around the house, just running. And I didn't understand why you were so excited, why you had this was something you had never done before. And so I thought, well, maybe if we take her for a drive, she'll calm down. And during that drive, you went into respiratory failure. You stopped breathing. And so I had to do mouth to mouth resuscitation all the way to the hospital and then explain to them what had occurred. And as after, taking care of you and getting you out of that situation, they informed me that you had an overdose of your medication. And so it was very important that the medicine be given at the appropriate time.
And so that actually gets into the next subject, which was managing. So you need to know when to take your medicine, how to take your medicine. Of course, I was taking nebulizer treatments at one point in time. I also had to learn how to properly do that, but properly how to take an inhaler, which I think there's several adults that still struggle with how to do this. But you need to know how to use your inhaler so that it actually is effective. Spacers are great to help you to receive all of the medication when you puff on the inhaler. And if you've been watching my videos, I did an explanation on how to use a spacer correctly, how to use your inhaler correctly. And so these things are really, really, really important. And with people with food allergies, if you're somebody who is going to get hungry, but is not necessarily aware of where the food came from or how it was prepared or what it was around as far as your allergens, you need to always carry allergy friendly snacks. And if you follow me, then you know that I interviewed Denise Woodard with Partake Foods. She has some great allergy friendly snacks. They're top 9 free. She has cookies, and she also has some mixes as well that are for like pancakes and cakes and stuff. But as far as snacks, she has individual packs with the cookies that you could carry those. And my friend Danielle Tubbs has Tubby Taste. Those are some more cookies that are free of the allergens as well. And those are vegan cookies as well. So they don't have milk, they don't have eggs. So there's all sorts of alternatives now in 2024 that we can rely on so that we can have we can have snacks that are safe for us.
And back in the
Go
in the
ahead.
day, we purchased cupcakes. No, I made the cupcakes that were allergy free, as well as I purchased ice cream that was allergy free from the health food store. And it was sold in a little Dixie cup. So when Renee went to birthday parties in kindergarten age, she brought her own cupcake and her own ice cream.
Yeah, so it would be the little individual cup ice cream. It was goat's milk ice cream at the time. That was the only non-cow's milk ice cream that was on the market. And actually, that is what this story is really about. If you have kids that have food allergies or they go to school with kids with food allergies, great book. Shameless plug. But yes, my mother made my birthday cakes, obviously, too, and they were allergy friendly. They were delicious. And my sister and I actually did a show that is on YouTube currently, and we'll show the 30-second sizzle of that real quickly here. Hi, I'm Dr. Renee. This is my lovely younger sister, Chef Alyssa Nicole. You see how little she is to it? I'm also allergic to chocolate. Don't let it burn.
It's much thicker.
Thank you to Fair for producing that. That show, like I said, and I'll put the link in the post, or I will figure out. My producer is watching. If she could please grab the playlist link for me, and I'll put that up on the screen. But that show, we did brownies that did not have chocolate. We did potato salad that didn't contain eggs. French toast that didn't have eggs. And all the recipes are there as well. So you can see videos of us cooking, but then there's recipes as well. Yes, Patrick, the cupcake recipe is the cake recipe that is on that show. So definitely we will share that recipe. And it's a vegan cake recipe. There's no eggs and no dairy at all. So combining asthma and food allergy management, you have to make certain you let your friends and family know that you have food allergies just in case of an emergency, because they need to know what's going on. So, you might stop breathing and they might think you're choking. No, you're not choking. You're having an allergic reaction. Heimlich maneuver and grabbing your epinephrine auto injector, obviously, two totally different things. So that's why it's really important to communicate this to your family and friends. Mom, can you share maybe how you communicated that to your family and friends?
Simply communication, verbal communication. Any parties or anything that she was invited to, I explained that she had food allergies and what they were, and that I would send her cake and her ice cream because we knew that she was allergic to those two things. And I didn't know what else they would be serving. So that's how we got through that. And then, even so, I can remember one day she was at the beauty shop and someone offered her a cookie, and we read the package, and yet she had a terrible asthma attack, and to the hospital we went. So you just have to be very careful about sharing food or receiving food from everybody.
And the other thing is,
and the fish smell.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. We knew that she was allergic to fish, touching it, eating it. But she was at my mom's house one day and she was cooking fish. And Renee was told to go upstairs to one of the bedrooms while she cooked the fish. Well, the smell went all the way up to the bedroom too. And my mom was supposed to be babysitting. So when I arrived at my mom's home to pick up Renee, she was in a terrible state of an asthma attack. And so away to the hospital we went.
Yeah,
from
so
smelling fish.
Yeah, I'm allergic to the smell of seafood cooking. So that's the other thing. And I tell people all the time, honestly, most restaurants, you don't smell it cooking. So I've never had a problem at Red Lobster or any places like that. My problem is Usually people's homes is where you smell seafood cooking a lot. So that's where I'll walk into somebody's house and I can immediately, my lungs will start wheezing, and I'm like, oh God. And I just need to go outside and sit outside and wait to leave or whatever. But yeah. So that's the other thing is, some people can be airborne, which can of course be very tricky if you're flying. If you have airborne, we have a relative that's airborne to nuts as well. You have to let people know ahead of time, because it will be too late once the nut package is opened or the seafood is cooked. There was a story in the news about a reality star that was told them she was allergic to seafood, told them up and down she's allergic to seafood, and she was in first class. And if you know, first class is closest to the kitchen. So once they started cooking the seafood, she was in trouble. So it's really, really, really important that you understand your allergies to the fullest. So I understand that I'm not airborne to nuts. So when I fly, I don't usually share with anyone that I'm allergic to nuts, because I just don't get the package of nuts. But when it comes to seafood, yes, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not, it's very rarely you get on a plane and they're serving a meal these days. But when I am on international flights and they are serving a meal, I do let them know, that's something that is not going to work. So you have to be very careful when it comes to that. Definitely be very careful. And so this leads into the handling social situations. I mentioned earlier, just let people know that you have allergies. I have friends that invite me over to eat, but they know I have allergies. So they're really diligent about making certain that things are separate, maybe even in a whole separate room, so there won't be any cross contamination in case they're serving anything I'm allergic to. We used to go to New Year's Day at a family's house, and they had not lobster. What do you call them? What are the crab legs? And they knew, so they would be done cooking. The house would completely be free of the scent by the time I got there. And everyone knew, if you're going to eat those with your hands, then you just need to stay away from me. And I was like, I just didn't touch, any public surfaces. Like, and I never got sick because I was very aware of what was going on, and they were aware. We had another doctor in the house and a nurse. So 2 doctors in the house besides me and a nurse. So I've never had a problem. But you just have to be very diligent to make sure you let people know. If people don't know, that's when things happen. At church, food is served all the time. The church people need to know. They need to know what to do and what to do if something happens, and how to recognize if something is happening. So these are things that, your church members need to talk about as well. And with this being Food Allergy Awareness Week, I hope that maybe some churches will talk about it tomorrow. And then trying to see what else. And then working with your healthcare providers. So I always tell the story of my mom firing our pediatrician because he was not serving us to the best of his abilities anymore. And my allergist ended up being my pediatrician, and she took amazing care of us. Okay, and so I'll tell Patrick, I'll get that. She took amazing care of us, and
She was also licensed as a pediatrician.
yeah. So she had both, and she was she actually gave my mother, because she knew my mom was a respiratory therapist. She gave my mother the information that she needed. So when I went to the ER and they needed to contact her, my mother knew how to contact her. They would talk to her, and then I could be released to go home. But she was great. What we did not cover allergy shots. Now, allergy shots are really great for environmental allergies as well as pet dander. Not so much for food allergies. But I was blessed that my mother gave me allergy shots at a young age. And to this day, I don't have any problems when it comes to environmental allergies, thankfully. As you know, last year with that whole the smoke from Canada, I didn't end up getting sick, which was great considering I run and walk outside usually most days in the summer. But I was very cautious. I did wear masks some of the time out there, and then I also have a regimen with my doctor to start taking allergy medicine ahead of the season so that I don't have any issues when things aren't really blooming, just in case. So I also wanted to point out to you guys, I have a ticker running at the bottom. That is the website if you would like to go and check out the show In the Kitchen with Dr. Renee and Chef Alicia. And that has the recipes, like I said, for the brownies, the cake, French toast, potato salad, gumbo, and I can't remember what else, but it's like 7 episodes, I think. And then Patrick, you had a question. Does allergies get better with age? So yes, it can get better with age. Like I said, there are many things on this list in the no category that I eat now, a whole lot actually. So I will say it has gotten better. Not everyone grows out, unfortunately, but like I said, I was allergic to eggs completely, and it's grown into I can eat them when they're cooked and things. I still, if I'm baking myself or I'm cooking and I crack an egg, I have to immediately wash my hands because I am very allergic to those egg whites and will have a reaction. So yeah, they can get better. Everyone's different, but they can definitely get better. And thank you, Patrick, for the questions. I appreciate it. So the other thing is, of course, keep a healthy diet. And it's not impossible to keep a healthy diet when you have food allergies. I did a talk the other day for 6th graders, and one of the kids said, well, what if you're allergic to vegetables? I said, you're not possibly allergic to every vegetable. And she said, and then she says she's allergic to fresh produce. And I looked her straight in the eye and said, girl, I don't eat raw vegetables either. But I eat vegetables. So then she said, oh. So there was a time when, yes, I was allergic to, raw vegetables, but I can eat them now. I just choose not to. I do eat raw cucumbers, but I make sure I just cook my vegetables. So I'm getting those nutrients because I do eat vegetables. So you just have to eat around it. And there is so many ways to eat around it and still remain healthy. I know we're all very busy these days, and so making things from scratch may not be an option for you. Like my mom, who was very busy actually, but she did make the cakes from scratch, and she made a lot. She would make 2 dinners sometimes because my family, just because I had food allergies did not mean that my family had food allergies. No one had food allergies but me. So my mom made dinner and they ate fish, and then I ate chicken or whatever.
I cooked the fish. I bought an electric fry pan and I cooked the fish on the deck outside.
Yeah. So, it's like I said, we're all very busy, but there are a lot of things on the market to help you to be able to eat healthy still and be able to avoid your allergens. So many products now do contain labels that say top 9 allergen free, or they'll tell you this was cooked or this was manufactured next to in a factory with nuts or in a factory with dairy or whatever. It'll tell you. So you really just have to look at the labels, and you also have to figure out your level of comfortability. So me personally, I do eat things that say that they were manufactured in a facility that had my allergens in it. I do. But that's me. But like I said, you have to figure out your comfortability. If you're not comfortable doing that, don't do that. There's also, because this lovely country loves to sue people, most restaurants now have stickers or something before you walk in. Like I know they said there's labels on one of the stores that says something about may contain or something before you even walk into the place. And I was like, well, I mean, they're trying to cover their butts. I get it. This is something they have to do. And, they want to make sure that they've done their due diligence. So you can either avoid that place like the plague, or you can go in and order what you're not allergic to and, eat it. So it's totally up to you, but you have to figure out your level of comfortability. I eat out at lots of different places. I will tell you the places that I avoid are places where I know that it's just way too much of a possibility of me getting sick. So like Thai food, they like to use peanuts and stuff and a lot. So that's something I usually avoid like the plague. One time I went to a sushi restaurant and my mother thought I was nuts, and I never went to another one again because that's just too dangerous. People use their hands to eat sushi, and then, I'm allergic to seafood, and then if you touch me, and then it's just too much. So I was very nervous the whole time I was in there, and I was like, I didn't like that. So I won't be back. I also went to a fondue restaurant and I spoke to them, explained everything, but I forgot that even though I had my own fondue, when I joined the group again, I forgot about the smell going into my system from their food, even though I was eating mine on something separate. So, eating wise, I was fine, but I had inhaled all of the seafood that they had been eating, the smell of it. And so um, I started wheezing like I think less than an hour after leaving the restaurant. So, it's really about paying attention and deciding what you're comfortable doing and what you're not comfortable with. And so and then you can't be upset either if you reveal your allergies to an establishment and they say they can't service you. You can't be upset because they're just trying to protect themselves. So that's why it's a thin line. Do you tell them? Do you not? But like I said, you decide if you want to eat, if you don't want to eat, and what you want to eat. And that's the wonderful thing about the internet is you can look at menus before you go and figure out what it is you can eat and what you can and what you can't eat. Or you can figure out, you could call even and see if there's a way for them to modify this. I was recently at a restaurant and I wanted chicken, and they said the chicken was cooked on the same grill as the scallops, which made me so mad. And then for them to cook my chicken, it was going to be an extra 30 minutes for them to cook it in something separate. So I was very frustrated. But Mom, I want you to touch on traveling with food allergies before we get out of here.
Well, first of all, you need to have a list of what you're allergic to, and your medication, a list of those, and you don't go anywhere without your emergency medication, and explaining to someone how all of this works. You do need to know where the nearest hospital is, and in fact, hotels. There are hotels that have allergy-free rooms where people have not smoked in them,
And they
and
don't have down pillows and down duvets and stuff like that. Because I'm allergic to that
that's
too.
correct. Oh, that's very serious and very important, because even though I don't have a lot of asthma attacks, I am allergic to down pillows. And so that's the first thing I inquire about when I check in. And they usually will have some other pillows that they can provide you.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, so we I've read a lot of things and people who travel with food and stuff. We don't do that. We never did. And like I said, this is before the internet when I was a child. But I to this day I don't travel with food. I just figure out when I get there. Usually, you can always check the internet and stuff and if you want to look at stuff, but I can tell you I stayed at a resort, Royalton Resort in Antigua in October, and I knew they had restaurants, but I knew what the names of them were, but I didn't really check menus or anything. I'm usually very confident I will find myself a meat, a starch, and a vegetable I can eat. I may not be able to ever eat dessert at some places because the desserts contain chocolate, the desserts contain nuts or whatever, but that's okay. I'll live. But that's the one thing that usually that's where I usually get left behind is I don't get to have desserts with everyone else. But as long as I can eat an entree, I'm good. And so most restaurants I can find something that I can eat as far as an entree. So travel for me is fine. Like I said, on the plane, I'm not really big on I don't tell the flight attendants or anything because I don't have airborne issues when it comes to nuts. Most of the flights that I take, I do fly American Airlines. They don't really hand out nuts much anymore. So it's not even something I'm even worried about usually. There was a time I was sitting in first class and I sat in my seat and there was no one next to me, but the man who was supposed to be in the row behind me sat in the one next to me. And I was like, just go back and sit in the seat behind me, which was the empty row too. And then he opened these nuts, and I was like, yes, sir, you need to go to your seat because I was doing just fine right here by myself. No nuts. So you need to go back there because I'm allergic to nuts, and that's your seat anyway. So yeah, it's very rare that anything happens. And then in this day and age, I fly with a mask on anyway. So I'm usually just fine anyway because I fly with a mask on, which means I'm not eating because I'm not taking my mask off until I get outside. And I'm talking about outside, not off the plane. I'm talking about outside. So outside of the airport. So, so yeah, I don't have any problems with that. I've lived overseas and traveled to several countries, and I'm always able to find something I can eat. I think, and it's important, especially if you're going someplace you don't speak the language, make sure you know the language to be able to express your allergies to them so that you can understand, you can read the menu and understand what's being served. That's obvious thing that you should know. And there's actually, and I don't remember his name, but there's a gentleman he does travel and allergies and asthma. And that's something that he specializes in helping with people. And he makes cards and stuff. I'm sure if you Google, you can find him. But I wrote this book that you see here, Mommy, I Can't Breathe, The Modern Guide to Navigate Allergies and Asthma. And the first half of the book tells my story with all of my allergies, all my asthma attacks. And then the second half helps you with all the information you need. And why they happen, when they happen. So definitely, if you'd like, check out the book. It's I've been told it's pretty good. And thank you so much again to the Chicago Asthma Consortium for having us this morning for the Asthma Doc support group. And I hope that you all, if you have any other questions, those that are watching the replay, please feel free to type your questions in the chat, or you can go to my website and you can always contact me there. And I am more than happy to answer questions. I'm trying to see here if I can throw it up here. Do I have it? I was going to put I never have it up here. Here it is. That's my website. If you go to my website, like I said, you can hit the contact and you can ask me anything about asthma and allergies, and I can get you answers and resources. It's always great to have an asthma action plan, especially when you're dealing with food allergies, because people need to know exactly what to do in case something happens. I have a podcast coming out soon that has a dad who has a story to tell about how the school did not follow the plan. And unfortunately, his son died at 3. So please, if you're not on my mailing list, get on my mailing list, and I will let you know when that podcast is out so you can hear that story. Also, I wanted to say, and finally was able to read this. Sora Helen's husband and herself, they have an amazing nonprofit. They have an asthma van that goes to neighborhoods in Waukegan, North Chicago, and Zion, Illinois, and soon Round Lake. And so if you would like that van to come and visit the youth in your neighborhood, van@gmail.com is their website. Email them if you're in Lake County, Illinois. And this asthma van has an allergist and a nurse, and you don't have to pay anything, and they will treat your children. So if you're in Lake County, please contact them. And it's the Christopher Redding Foundation. So you can Google that if you need to. But thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, have a great rest of your Saturday and have a great summer. And we'll see you guys back in the fall. Thank you. Thank you, Mom.